in Ukraine has spoken of gathering an army of 1 million fighters. Does that sound realistic to you?
Well, the numbers in my mind do work. Ukraine, even with the massive refugee outflux, is about 36, 37 million people. Well, the full population normally is about 44. If you just do the math of able-bodied, and it might be also older individuals and younger, and those are their active resistance, territorial resistance, and then passive resistance, even behind, if you will, Russian lines. Yes, you could get 4 to 5 million if you call able-bodied out of that 35 million, say. And so, yes, you could put, in theory, if funded and armed, and resourced 1 million people into the field in Ukraine.
And I guess meanwhile, just discussing an armed Ukrainian military of 1 million people is maybe good for morale among the people of that country who are clearly going to be feeling the pressure. And then you've got the idea of how to use these forces, which is obviously crucial. What would you say on that subject? Because the fighting in the east of Ukraine is absolutely intense. Meter by meter is the fighting that's going on for control of the Donbass that is not already in Russian control. And there are huge ambitions, huge missions which need to be accomplished by Ukraine in the south of the country at the coast at the same time.
Yes, yes, it is a several front fight now, both for the Ukrainians and the Russians. And we've seen the Russians have had major problems with personnel, especially quality personnel. In the Ukraine sense, they have a pitched battle, almost a World War I type of fight in and around the Donbass, linear artillery, and there you need main forces, organized forces. Ad hocs and levies don't do as well there. But you also have the South that you had mentioned, and much of which has now been seized by the Russians, up to 100 miles from Odessa. And in that area, it looks like the Russians are in defensive positions because their main effort is in the eastern Ukraine, Donbass. And of course, the Ukrainians are going to want to push them back and out of there as much as possible, in concern that the Russians are going to try to freeze those lines, look for a ceasefire. And create a massive frozen conflict, which the Ukrainians will not stomach at this time.
Does that mean it would make sense then, Peter, for the Ukrainians to put aside, for now, maybe for some time, the idea of securing those Black Sea southern coastal ports, which are so important in terms of getting Ukrainian grain out of the country, important for the country, important for the Ukraine economy, and for that matter, those countries and the many people relying on that grain for food?
Yeah, the Russians have longer, if you will, logistical and operational lines in the south. They're more vulnerable in the south. And yes, for Ukraine to take back, its Black Sea coast, and ideally part of the Sea of Azov, but at least the Black Sea coast, and push back as far as they can up to the juncture with Crimea. They would like to get Crimea, but that may be a bridge too far. But yes, push in the south, especially as the main fight for the Russians still seem to be in Donbass, eastern Ukraine. Don't know how long that will be. That will be contingent on the Ukrainian defense there. But yes, the Ukrainians want to get the south. They want to open it up. Snake Island was taken. Open up those ports, the grain, supplies, everything that you just mentioned.
All right, just a word on training from you, if I could. This country, the United Kingdom, is going to step up its efforts towards the training of Ukrainian fighters. How important is that? And what kind of training, what kind of fight training is going to be important and needed now?
Yes, I think this is a really good move. Now, you're going to get a lot of Ukrainians and frankly Russians that are born in battle, if you will, young guys and gals that become veterans on the front, and they have that experience. But you need also tactics, techniques, and procedures, complex things, how to fire things, leadership, non-commissioned officer, which your country is very good at, and so is mine, and giving those leadership concepts and everything else to the Ukrainians, and hopefully that trickles down. Meanwhile, fundamentals for the troops that have to go into the fight on massing artilleries and coordination of combined arms and everything else. So yes, it's a good move.
All right.